As the sun sets on the skyway of Shan, a lone assassin skulks through the shadows outside of a noble manor. She applies a deadly poison to her blade and deftly climbs onto a bedroom balcony, slipping silently in through the balcony door. Without a sound, she creeps across the bedroom and buries her blade into the chest of her sleeping Mark. Something is wrong. Usually there is a muffled gurgle, or at least a violent flinch. She pulls the blanket back and finds nothing but pillows. In the city far below, at the terminus station, a lightning rail train departs the city. Seated in the first-class cabin is the noble who should have been asleep in that bed, and across the table with their back against the wall, a House Madani operative keeps a close eye on the carriage's 3 exits. If you want a wall of muscle to get between you and the blade, go to House Deneath. If you want someone to anticipate the threat and make sure you aren't even in the room with whoever's holding that blade, that's what we do. Hello adventurers, and welcome to the next installment of Eberron Historian. Today is the first episode in a series examining each of the dragon-marked houses of Eberron. Today, we take a look at the clandestine House Madani. Please remember to hit those like and subscribe buttons below if you're enjoying our content, and switch notifications on to stay up to date as we release new lectures in the future. Let's get started. The dragon-marked heirs of House Madani are exclusively half-elf, or Koravar in the Elvish language. Heirs of House Madani bear the dragon mark of detection, which gives them a 6th sense for trouble. Along with an unnaturally keen intuition, bearers of the mark of detection can sense sources of arcane and divine power, detect poisons or hidden enemies, and can even sense magical observation such as scrying. To further bolster these abilities, Madani heirs will train in the use of sound logic, investigative skills, and perception. House Madani's emblem depicts a basilisk on their house crest and a basilisk's eye on their emblem. Throughout their many small and clandestine enclaves around Khorvaire, Madani agents hire themselves out as bodyguards, detectives, and inquisitives. Although their services seem to overlap with those of houses Deneath, Tharashk, Fialan, and Thurani, a key difference is that House Madani are specialists in counterintelligence rather than the gathering of intelligence. Instead of specializing in protection of a client using strength and martial ability, a Madani bodyguard will use observation and deduction to proactively keep a client out of harm's way. Instead of using spies to weave a plan of infiltration or intrigue, a Madani agent will be in the shadows, unraveling the plans of opposing agents. A Madani agent may not be an expert in stealth or blending in, but they will be the first to spot an assassin or spy among a crowd. In saying all this, most marked heirs of House Madani are extensively trained in close quarters combat, and should the need arise, they are adept in the arts of surprise attack and ambush. House Madani has their headquarters at the Tower of Inquisition in Brelland's capital of Rote, with many enclaves scattered throughout the major population centers of Khorvaire and beyond. Reflecting their secretive nature, their enclaves are always unmarked, a necessity as they often double as safe houses for their agents and their clients. History time. The mark of detection first began appearing on half-elves of the Madani provinces of Brelland around 1500 years ago, making it around 500 years before the Kingdom of Galifar was formed. The first dragon-marked members of the house were content to keep their marks a secret and proceeded to discreetly offer their newfound talents for hire as bodyguards and scouts. It was around this time that the War of the Mark began, a bloody conflict where the existing dragon-marked houses banded together to exterminate House Tarkanan and the bearers of aberrant dragon marks across Khorvaire. It was during this conflict that the mark of detection was uncovered by House Cannith, who at first suspected that the mark of detection may be a new form of aberrant dragon mark. Luckily, this theory was disproven, and House Cannith eventually made contact with the hidden elders of House Madani. It is said that House Cannith forced House Madani into the public eye, perhaps even with the threat of violence, and soon House Madani would reluctantly take its place at the side of other dragon-marked houses in the conflict against House Tarkanan. At the conclusion of the War of the Mark, the dragon-marked houses came together to form the 12, an organization with the purpose of strengthening the alliance between dragon-marked houses and standardizing business practices in this growing industry of dragon-marked services. In present-day Eberron, House Madani has forged a strong relationship with Breland and its current ruler, King Boronel. With its rote headquarters in such close proximity to the Brelish crown, the leader of the house, Baron Trelib de Madani, has become a close friend and confidant of King Boronel. During the last war, House Madani seemingly abided by the Korth Edicts, a set of laws stipulating that any dragon-marked house must stay neutral and offer services freely to any party that might be willing to pay for them. However, it is rumored that House Madani was secretly feeding wartime intelligence to the Brelish crown through the covert services of House Sivis. Following the last war, Trelib has assigned a number of Madani agents to King Boronel's court and has also been charged with the investigation of the assassination of Queen Shavesa, Boronel's first wife. Although many foreign powers and the other houses have expressed concern over House Madani's proclivity to Brelish favoritism, there are others, including members of Boronel's court and his own clandestine organization, the Dark Lanterns, who have expressed concern that Baron Trelib may be using Boronel's favor to secretly infiltrate the Brelish royal court, or even the Dark Lanterns themselves. In matters of lineage, House Madani takes the opposite view of House Lyrindar, the other half-elf dragon-marked house, who favor purity of their Koravar bloodlines. Heirs of House Madani will often marry full-blooded humans or elves as well as other half-elves. They view the mixed heritage of the Koravar and the ability to walk between all three societies as advantageous, and the continuous intermarriage between races allows renewal of their ancestral connection as well as the expansion of social networks. In regards to hirelings and associates, House Madani favors proper aptitude above all. Although spellcasting is valued, anyone who can demonstrate critical thinking, keen judgment, and a mind for analytics can find employment with House Madani and its associate guilds. The most prevalent of House Madani's associate guilds is known as the Warning Guild. Despite being administered by the Madani elders, the Warning Guild is used as a convenient separation between the business conducted by the guild and the house itself. The business of counterintelligence can rattle a lot of cages, and this separation allows some plausible deniability and a buffer between the house upper management and any angry nobles or government officials. House Madani has many other smaller and focused guilds scattered around the continent who serve different purposes. Here are some examples. The Basilisk's Gaze is a House Madani guild formed in the wake of the last war. Commissioned by all 5 former nations of Galifar, the Basilisk's Gaze was formed to track down and apprehend war criminals that were identified and listed as a secret amendment to the Treaty of Thronehold. Led by the eccentric and strong-willed agent Taldor de Madani, Basilisk's Gaze has seen a great success in this mission, but still has plenty of targets to track down. Another Madani guild formed in the wake of the last war is known as Thousand Yard Stare, originally called the Western Mournland Working Group. This guild was formed for a joint contract from the governments of Breland and Thrain with a singular purpose: to monitor the western border of the former nation of Sire, now known as the Mournlands. The name Thousand Yard Stare was chosen after the return of their first scouting party and the expressions on their faces, having witnessed the sight of the border mists of the Mournlands. Underfunded and largely overlooked by both governments and House Madani itself, the agents of Thousand Yard Stare are spread thin along the border and often have to dispatch or drive away monsters that occasionally emerge from the mists and cross into Breland or Thrain. Guild leader Shannara de Madani has a deep curiosity about what lies beyond the border of the Mournlands, and is on the lookout for adventuring parties that are either brave enough or stupid enough to take on such a task. Look at that, guys, 2 videos in less than a month. I'm on fire. And I apologize if I sounded a little bit off this episode. I've been feeling a little bit sick lately. Let me know what else you want to see in the comments. If you enjoyed this installment of Eberron Historian, please hit those like and subscribe buttons below, and turn on notifications so you're informed when a new episode comes out. If you like free battle maps, or the music I use throughout this video, please swing by my Patreon. For the price of a coffee, you can pick up a monthly pack including D&D soundtrack I composed myself and a battle map to accompany it. As always, thank you to the loyal patrons who keep the channel lights on. I really appreciate the support, guys. Happy rolling, adventurers, and I'll see you next time.